Excuse me, we experienced a few technical difficulties this evening, but welcome everyone to the Dallas ISD Bond 2020 School Design Listening Session for Henry W. Longfellow Career Exploratory Academy. We're excited to have you join us here today. We're excited to have you join us here today, and we want to hear from your input from the community about this wonderful new school. So with no further ado, we're going to turn it over for tonight to our principal, who will bring us her greetings and remarks.
Good evening. Buenos dias, buenas tardes, my community of Longfellow Career Exploration Academy. We are so happy you are here. As you'll see in the chat window, the translation services for Espanol will become available by our interpreter, Jesus Cruz. But I want to thank you all for being here on this exciting journey to get a new campus for the 74-and-a-half-year-old campus of Longfellow and the 40-plus years of the Career Exploration Academy. We are so proud of the work that this school has done in its 4 decades of bringing scholars into a field of career exploration so that they are ready for high school and the life beyond high school and a career in college. And we can't wait to match that passion and vision with a brand new building that reflects that. So thank you, and I can't wait to be a part of this presentation with you.
Thank you so much, Principal Tatum, for the wonderful work you're doing, preparing our scholars, and also for leading this wonderful team during this difficult time. The trustee for this particular school is actually traveling and extends his regrets as not being able to participate in tonight's meeting, but he will be brief and is excited about the project as well. A few housekeeping points. If you're joining us via Zoom, there will be a question and answer period and opportunities for interaction. So what we want to make sure is that you hold your questions, that you can raise your hand in the Zoom feature, and you can also make comments in the chat room. If you're joining us via Facebook, please be sure to make your comments in the chat section, comment section on Facebook, and we will certainly be able to answer and share those questions as well. If you want to go ahead, Jesus, and I believe the instructions for a Spanish language interpreter are in the chat room. So we're excited for tonight. So with that being said, our Deputy Chief of Construction and Bond Services will now give us an overview for the bond program.
Hey, thank you, Jackie, and welcome back, Longfellow community. This is our second meeting. As Ms. Bell stated, I'm Brent Alfred. I'm the Deputy Chief of Construction Services, and we're excited to be here and have you guys as part of this historic $3.5 billion bond program, which is the largest in the state history of the state of Texas. Last time we met with you guys gave us your 3 big ideas, and we were going. Our architects are using those as our guiding light to carry us through this entire project. This one. Sorry about that. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our architecture team, Mr. Andre Brackens with Huckabee Architects.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Alfred. I appreciate it, and I'm thankful for the opportunity to partner with Dallas ISD and to serve in this capacity. So we're very excited, and we appreciate again, the first charrette that we had and the great initial response and the comments that we were able to have. And so our team tonight in the presentation, we'll show you a little a photo, and you'll see the name of each of our team. Conrad is going to be actually doing the presentation and taking you through the slides. And again, we're very excited to pick up where we left off. We'll kind of have a brief overview, and then we're going to dive right in. But again, we want to extend our thanks and our appreciation. We're humbled and grateful that we have this opportunity. And I certainly, Mr. Tatum, thank you for your engagement, the engagement of the team and the community. And as well, we know our trustee was available at the first charrette, so we'll make sure we brief him regarding what happens here. So we certainly want to encourage your engagement. Thank you so much for the information on the website. Thank you so much for what we were able to garner and glean first charrette. So I just, again, want to encourage you to listen in, to participate, to be engaged. It's very exciting. And again, thank you in advance. So I'm going to turn it over to Conrad. He's going to come through, again, our slides. And as he starts sharing his screen, I just need a confirmation that everyone can see the screen. Is that a yes? Are we good, Ms. Bell?
We are good.
All right. And also, again, we get the opportunity to serve with our program management partner, Jacobs. And again, we appreciate, again, that team as we as a project team look forward to delivering a great project for you. So if we go to our next slide, I think we can do some team introductions here soon. Let's see, Conrad, I think you have control of that. I'm Andre. I get the opportunity to serve as principal to the Dallas ISD, and I also am the director of the Dallas office. You'll hear tonight from Conrad. Mike is a part of our team, again, an architect and planning expert. Ken, Caitlin, and Andrea. And that's the team that's going to be serving you. Again, we're humble and grateful that we get this opportunity. And now we're getting ready, buckle your chin strap. We're getting ready to dive in. Conrad, why don't you go ahead and start walking us through?
Okay, so welcome everybody. We're excited to share what we've been working on. We know that you're going to, I think, love to engage and comment and participate. And we're going to show you, but I want you to be aware of the opportunity to participate in some polling exercises. We're going to gather some information through this mechanism. Some of y'all were able to do this last time. So if you can take a look at what we have here on the screen, make sure that you're able to log into either option through these links, and we can work through your phone or from your computer to be able to respond to the questions that will pop up as we go through the presentation. So I'll give you just a few minutes to kind of set your device up for this, and then we'll move on to the next slides. So it'll be critical for you to participate, so we encourage you to do that.
Let's see. You said you can only see half of the slide. Let's see. I'm getting a couple of comments here. Let's see. You got that, Mr. Tatum? I see, Mr. Tatum, you're forwarding something. Can everyone see the full slide? We got a comment in the chat that you could only see half of it.
I'm seeing the full slide, Andre.
We can see the full slide now. Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay, I'm only seeing half the slide.
Mr. Nigro, you might check the format of your window if it's cutting across your shared screens or something like that.
What?
Their format is presenting the whole slide. So you might see it on your window, your window on your desktop is moved to cut across off the side on your screen, because it's not that way for everyone else. And the link I just put in the chat for everyone was just the direct link to the Poll Everywhere in case you didn't want to type it in.
Thanks, Mr. Tatum, for that. Appreciate that.
And so as you're able to tie into those links, again, that's going to give you the opportunity to respond to questions and interactions, and you'll see literally a live poll in terms of the responses and the favored response. And so as we get started, our three big ideas, our three takeaways, and I'm just going to, again, just give a quick synopsis, not going to read the whole thing, but sustainability was something that was very important. And, obviously Dallas ISD uses the CHIPS program. So there are several opportunities through CHIPS and sustainability, and including that as part of really the tactile educational delivery for the academy is something that's very important. Two, the history. There was a very interesting history, for the school, for the area, and certainly some things that we wanted to capture. And then I think making the Career Exploratory Academy something that was a model, not only for Dallas ISD, not only for Texas, but really for the nation. And so those are kind of the three big ideas that we wanted to build upon. And now you'll begin to see how we were able to take that, to digest that, and then to be able to assimilate that into some design ideas, and then some what we call precedent photos that reflect those ideas that we can get your opinion on. So With that reset, we'll jump back to you, Conrad, and hopefully everyone's had the opportunity to log in and get the links for the polling.
Good summarization. Really, these first few slides are going to really remind us all that the mission and vision of this campus is critical and important, and we will continue to carry that flag with us as we work through the solution for this new school and campus, as well as your logo, your crest, and all those things that are currently happening within the school and those that possibly will become in the near future. But these are things that we will continue to use as a driving force for our concepts and solution. We'd like to step into looking at some imagery that would help, if you can comment, help us understand the architectural character that you would prefer for this campus. And this will be a broad range from classical to contemporary images of work that we've done or work that we think is related to possible features or character that you would like to consider. So this first, I will show you a few on one slide, and then we'll go through these individually so you can see them larger. But this notion of having some part of this close classical period style architecture and the range of how classical or ornate it could possibly be at the upper left corner to the center where there's a merging of some slightly more modern architecture with traditional forms, classical forms. So just a blend of imagery here that we're going to page through. And then the lower center and right are of the period style, the mid-century period style architecture that was done at that time. So we're going to look through and feel free to comment on any of these. We'll have a chance to do it in the polling as well, but decide how important it would be to you to have a almost Doric classical period style architecture that would present itself in this form, or something that again would have this blending or merging of a fairly traditional form, but in a modern interpretation of that, much more glass. This particular project was one that was trying to merge somewhat traditional classical architecture with modern architecture and would become a civic building for this community as it reached out to its community. Again, a very classical, ornate, period style pedimented architectural solution. And then how important is it that we hold on to some of the features and the history of the current building? Is there any of the architectural character or language that is desired from the current facility? And then lastly, just another example, or just an example of mid-century period style architecture, showing glass and steel in a very sleek way in terms of its geometry and architectural character. So just a taste of what those could be, and then we'll move to some ideas for contemporary. We'll jump right into the larger views. Some of this will be fairly contextual in terms of Texas regional architecture, in terms of the use of materials. You'll see some natural stone, you'll see some overhang canopies and structure, the use of mix of metal and glass, and some of this entrance in terms of blending the colonnade with the large overhanging roof, brick and metal. Again, some mixture of brick, mainly stone, natural stone in this particular one, but making sure that in all of these that your front entrance is identifiable and recognizable from the street. This is starting to demonstrate if we're looking at creating neighborhoods or wings elements for the project that stand out as important in terms of how you handle the academic neighborhoods or wings, and how that might be expressed. Maybe the use of glass is playful to fit in with whatever language or character you're trying to use within the building. And potentially something that has roof forms that run across the top and then drop down. So you see some of this of recent contemporary modern architecture that's being done in the current period of architecture. And then one more example fairly similar to that. So now we're going to go into where we can capture your feedback. This will hopefully load and prompt you to give us some information on what your preferences are. And we'll start to see, should see this come up live. So where you can see people's general feeling about what we looked at. I like the activity. People are engaging, Andre. They're participating.
Yeah, good participation. Yeah, great participation. All right.
It's like we're maybe a blend between the two is maybe a little more favorable. But.
Yeah, classical and contemporary.
Okay, Conrad, one quick thing. Just a reminder, the links for the poll, or if you're joining us via Facebook, the links for the poll are shared on Facebook. So please feel free to jump in and participate as well.
That's right. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bell.
Many as we participation we could get.
Okay.
Looks like it's stabilized. Maybe we can go on the next opportunity here where we're just looking for general comments or feedback. Are there certain architectural character elements you believe fit in well with the community or the culture, academic focus of the academy? I think this could be anywhere from the approach and the entry to, like it says,
large glass entrance. Okay.
The academies themselves, some of the others, public spaces, dining.
Okay.
I'll keep you some of the elements currently building.
Glass. Okay.
Professional, inspirational, community.
We do have a question in the chat. What is the site orientation? And basically, from what we were able to glean from the first charrette, we wanted to take a look at, based on that polling exercise, a response really to Inwood in terms of the face or the front of the building towards Inwood. And you'll see that as we get further into the presentation. We'll show you a massing model that shows that orientation.
These are really good.
We do have a question. We do have a question, a comment from Facebook. Someone asked how much safety was considered.
Well, again, safety was one of the comments that we took into consideration. It was interesting. We did one of those word clouds, and safe was in the center of that. And so for us, safety is not an afterthought. It's something that we bring into the design process from conception all the way through. So, we don't have necessarily a granular response, but it will meet the district standards for safety. And obviously, we're going to keep that in mind throughout the design. And let's see, I just saw another chat question that I think I want to try to respond to. Let me find that. Facing west, don't want too much glass in the front. It will roast. That's a good point, but that's, what we do. We do solar studies with that to make sure that we understand the heat gain and heat load. And that's why on some you see extensive overhangs that provide the shadow and covering of the glass as well. So good comment. Thank you.
Yeah, orientation will be important. And we can speak a little bit to that, like Andre said, once we get to the site studies that we'll show towards the end of the presentation. But those are important. Looks like we got really good feedback. We're not obviously seeing all of it here on the screen, but a lot of good blending of comments in terms of holding on to some of the existing the community, making sure that we're responsive and good neighbors to the community and the context. I think, yeah, that is important. There's a lot of history there. It's important to maintain and capture. So these are all very good.
Very good.
Okay, so we'll move forward here. We do want to speak a little bit to some opportunities in terms of what was mentioned as sustainability or be green. What is nice to mention is that our energy codes within the state of Texas are very strong, and really using those and complying to those codes will allow this building to perform very well from a sustainable use of energy. But we can explore some other opportunities, and what we're going to share here is really more tied into and related to how features of sustainability, environmental sensitivity can be involved or with the curriculum, so that whatever we choose to use here, again, can be woven into the curriculum, and those hands-on experiences that students can have to learn how water can be conserved and used, how solar power can be used and conserved. And so some examples of how, with fairly easy and pedestrian-friendly concepts, we have, these are just ideas to throw out for conversation. We're not trying to suggest this is what we're doing verbatim, but we are wanting to use these images to trigger some thoughts and comments from people. From you.
And again, to reinforce, Conrad, our guidelines, we use the CHIPS.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, the standard protocol for Dallas ISD. So there's a lot of latitude that we have to really be creative from that standpoint, and make sure that we're creating not only tactile and learning experiences in terms of the educational delivery, but again, CHIPS just gives us a lot of latitude and creativity to match educational delivery and some of the things that you're doing.
And CHIPS is a collaborative for high performance schools. So that's its goal, is to be a high performer and sensitive to a number of things related to sustainability.
Thank you.
So we can trigger some as we get through these slides. We'll create some opportunity. Put it in the chat, or when we have a next polling opportunity, you can share some of your thoughts related to this. We are going to walk through some additional slides that have to do with this. Natural light is critical in terms of sustainability, in terms of learning environment. Vitamin D is critical for those students and their attention span, and a number of things. The data proves that it's important to have natural light. I'll point out on this particular slide too, being able to share above the ceiling there, if something you want to consider is that instructional component in terms of electrical and plumbing and all sorts of things, ways to express within the building education and systems related to. You can see in the ceiling on the kind of center and left are solar tubes where we can capture light from the roof and bring it down into a central space. So it's a great natural way to light an interior space as well. So there's options potentially to explore that and consider that device like that. And then obviously outdoor space, and making sure we look at how to use outdoor space, easily maintain outdoor space. Shadings, we see the shading and solar protection of the glazing like Andre had mentioned. But that will be important to discuss, is how do we use outdoor space, not only just for socializing and getting out and connecting with the outdoors, but also is there opportunities for classes to come out and be a part of instruction, be a part of the science that can take place outdoors. And so looking at opportunities, how we can create this, not only for the school and instruction, but I know there was comments made for the community. Is there possibilities for the community to engage in these spaces and work with the district and the school for those opportunities? Other examples of how we can point out how buildings work and use and leverage water and electric and other things. We've done QR codes within the building that allow those that are visiting or the students or otherwise to scan and learn more about these features within the building. So there's opportunities for that. Again, expressing systems and engineering within the building, opportunities to align with some of the coursework you may be having within the Career Exploration Academy. So here's an opportunity to share back in the polling and express maybe what your thoughts were when you saw some of these images, what's important to you, what you would like to see as part of this new facility. If you could engage in some thoughts on that. Lovely outdoor spaces.
Okay. That's good.
Teachable, yes.
Good.
Yeah, I love the furniture that's being designed nowadays that you could sit underneath and power up something if you want to while you're just sitting underneath a piece of furniture with a solar panel.
We have a wonderful comment coming in from Facebook from Nikki Ivory. Miss Ivory shares that she attended the school in 1993-94, and Mrs. Boyd was their principal at that time. They buried a time capsule there, and we love to uncover that before construction starts at the school. They'll be very wonderful for the school, and they're excited about the new look. So
that is excellent.
Great.
So design team, look for construction team, look for that.
Yeah.
Look for
Send
the
me the
time
map. We'll
capsule.
take care of it. We will make a thing out of it.
That's it. That's a big deal. Great comment.
So glad she's on and she shared that.
Yes,
awesome comment.
Now there's another comment coming from Mr. Brown who asked about are we promoting CRT? If someone could explain for a lot of the audience what CRT might be. And also Mr. Martinez is joining us on Facebook. He said he loves the solar tubes and is giving big hand claps and a big thumbs up.
All right. All right.
I may need some help with the
context of CRT.
I think Mr. Alfred, maybe that's a question that you can answer.
Repeat the question. My internet kind of broke up. What's the question?
Mr. Brown had a question about CRT. I think that might be something that falls under your umbrella, maybe.
CRT as a program.
But let me do this, Mr. Brown. I know you're viewing us on Facebook. If you could just give us a little bit more detail, and we'll make sure that we fill that question for you. If you can give us a little bit more of detail of what you're exactly asking.
Yeah, if you could elaborate just a little bit. Yeah.
Ms. Bell, I believe this is a non-architectural question. It's about a curriculum question outside of the purview of this particular meeting, but I'm sure we can address it as a district outside of this meeting.
Okay, great. Well, Mr. Brown, we'll reach back out to you. If you can actually just reach out to us, you can email bond, that's BONDCOM, at dallasisd.org, and we will certainly be back in touch with you since you're on Facebook. If you would email us at BONDCOM, that's bondcom, at dallasisd.org, we can certainly reach back out to you and get a better understanding of what your the questions and get in touch with you. Thank you so much for joining us, though. Back to you, project team.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Bell.
Great comments here. I think some very interesting ones. Continue to reiterate natural light, importance of it, outdoor space. Yes, we'll be careful with mosquitoes. I don't think we want any ponding water. I understand that we would want to contain whatever we capture. So yeah, I think so. But great feedbacks on this. Thank you. I think we will also, there was a comment, I think, in there in terms of using renewable and recycled materials and content. That's something we can look into doing. And part of CHIPS is to be able to report and share that out so that the community and the students and staff are aware of what's being used in the building so they can be familiar with that effort and what was thought through to be used on the project. So now we'd like to share some imagery that would relate to enhancing the curriculum, spaces that would start to work with and spark creativity and engagement within the instruction and socialization within the environment. So we'll page through a few of these, but I first want you to see a video here of some spaces that we've done recently that are public space, collaborative space, furniture, a number of activities with students using these spaces, wide open spaces with natural light, STEM and engineering spaces, movable, flexible furniture, smiles, a number of things, branding the space, casual furniture, movable wall partitions to flex a space from small space to large space. We have the ability to use those systems to open up space, reconfigure space. So down to the specifics of a particular program needing technology and green space, collaborative space, furniture for collaboration. So a little quick video of some space. You can see what's important about that is seeing how the students use the space. Now we're going to go through some photographs and wanted to share what our experience has been. The classroom itself, what is somewhat of a traditional classroom, can actually be a very collaborative space. And through the use of classroom management and great furniture, provides a lot of choice for the students and the teachers to reconfigure that space and really be collaborative in how they operate. But then there is also the opportunity to use folding partitions and furniture to open up and make that flexibility. That's been around for a while, but some of these new systems are much better acoustically. They've got rideable surfaces, very easy to move. So those are, we're seeing that resurgent of those kinds of systems because of their advancement. Lab space, it's converted into classroom space, it's converted into career space. You saw back there exposing ceilings, hanging power, all those things are good for adaptability and being nimble to change things. Collaborative space outside the classrooms, so you have visual connectivity from the classroom and back, branding, furniture. This is an example of where extension of the library, where the library materials have been dispersed throughout the school as another idea, a different idea than a centralized example. So I know that may be a stretch, but that's something that this campus chose to do and made it part of their collaboration space. Again, outside the classroom, the amount of glass, the type of seating, tables, materials has changed. Connectivity from second and first floor. This is what we call more of a destination collaboration space, where you might be leaving your neighborhood or pod area and actually going out to a more public open space type of collaboration. So examples of destination collaboration spaces, even to something would be a learning stair that's more public. This is off of a dining space in the main hallway. But also having spaces that could be acoustically sound off of space, but yet visually viewable. So different forms, different choices. We have lots of opportunities to explore what's going to work for you. The idea behind neighborhoods, we saw some information that's being developed within some collaborative exercises. Mr. Tatum, that you've had, we saw that in reference. And do we create some type of entryway to those neighborhoods, and what can take place with that, considering doing that? You can notice just to the left of this entry is a teacher planning area. And we'll speak to that in just a minute too, in terms of how that might be letting the staff put what they do on display for the students to learn from. We talked a little bit about the importance of STEM. We're pointing out STEM here, and I know that's a component of what you're doing. It's not your focus, but it is a component of what you're doing. And how do you create space that allows you to look through engineering, science, and math? Spaces that are right outside collaboration space and neighborhood type gathering spaces. You see rideable wall surfaces, furniture. How important is it to you to have connectivity directly from that collaboration space to the outdoors, and transparency and visibility out to the outdoors? So a true extension from classroom to collab all the way to an outdoor space. Teacher planning, I mentioned this, really being able to create space for them to function as professionals, to work together, to collaborate, to take on that type of space, professional environment for them. Putting them, if it's important or desirable, to put them on display so that they can model to the students how that type of environment works. Having spaces right outside those spaces for teachers to meet with each other or teachers to meet with students. And here's a picture of them working together in their space, and no surface is untouchable, unusable, and seeing how that can work for them. Just another example of that as well from the interior. Where would you like that placed? Mentioned it in the neighborhoods. Is that important for them to see and be seen or not? So conversations around that idea, that concept, that placement. You see here on the left is the main teacher planning. It's actually connected all the way up to the main administration area. That is even desirable in this particular example that connects to the main dining public space. As we then move into performance spaces, common spaces, we're seeing a trend in blurring the lines of dining and library and public space. We're starting to open up and really be truly a blurred, blended social type space that's always being used. It's not just for dining, but constantly being used for instruction and meeting. There are some concepts we've also looked at too in terms of when you look at a performance stage is can we place it in the center of the school, and is there access from the library, access from the dining? Is how could we potentially stretch the use of a stage and its flexibility and usability? And then another example of how separated would you want dining and library? You see the glass wall separating the two, but really they're very well connected and very visually connected. Whereas this example is the right open, adjacent to next. One flows right into the other. Library on the right and the dining on the left. Connectivity from a second floor to the library, and extension. The upper level there is really an extension of the library, and so that's continuing to take place. And then the idea of maker spaces and engineering type spaces, are they a component or adjacent to the library? So we have examples of where power and furniture and materials are right there connected to the library, and that's just part of what takes place within the library setting. So love what can take place there in terms of making related to those programs. And again, examples of what type of furniture, what type of equipment, what type of power and data and all sorts of things that can be used to build in the flexibility for it. And then lastly, as last few slides, how do we leverage environmental graphics to message history, to message individuals, to tell a story of what was and what is to come, not only and context, and the sky is the limit in terms of what we could communicate through environmental graphics to these students and those in the community, those that visit the campus, even down to the instruction and how to really drive home those things you're trying to teach these students in a big, bold way. So a lot of stuff, a lot of information. We're looking for more feedback, and we'll give you some good amount of time on this one to score what is important to you from what you've just seen. And yes, you can love every bit of it. You can all of it if you want. But it'll help us to know what's important.
Great participation.
Collaboration's a high one. That's I'm hearing that. Multi-purpose commons. Yep. It's there's a trend in trying to leverage every space as much as you can.
Yes.
who I think today's generation students are a little more adaptable, amenable to that type of environment, that kind of space. They're a little resilient.
We have another comment coming in from Facebook. It says natural light creates welcoming spaces for our students. Space for outdoor classroom and garden is perfect to nurture the community. And also we have in our chat here that we have someone that said, is there any way we can try to save and reuse some of that wonderful wood that's in the current school?
And I did see that comment. Obviously, we want to go through and assess, and if it's a possibility, we certainly want to consider it, but we would need to do an assessment first. But I think it's a great idea in terms of being able to capture some of the history and bring it forward for the present and future. So, but we'll need to certainly do a site visit and an assessment to see the condition and how it can possibly be transferred.
Right. And also one more, again, if you're joining us via Zoom, you can certainly just jump in with your comments in the chat room, and we'd be glad to share them. Also, there are polling devices. The links are in the chat room as well. And if you're joining us on Facebook, you can certainly submit your comments there. And you're also able to participate in the chat using the text message information and the links found in the comment section on Facebook.
Okay. And Ms. Bell, I just saw a comment, great comment regarding areas to display and showcase student art and projects. And then I think Conrad made the comment earlier where we really want to utilize usable wall space to both pin up, to display, to celebrate the work that the students are doing as well. So great comment.
Yeah, because there's no doubt that amazing things are going to be made on this campus. I know that with y'all's programs, there's no question some great things. So
we also have another comment coming in through the chat. I think this is maybe from Facebook on our Spanish language channel. It says the comment says it all sounds good. Would like to see it in all the schools, not just in some areas or more privileged areas.
Okay, getting some comments.
Our library now is such a cool space, but small. I love the idea of integrating that space more in the next facility, maybe a fishbowl library.
Mm-hmm.
Transparency is definitely going to be part of our conversation.
Yeah. Collaboration, okay.
Yeah, we will need to be good stewards of money. We will not shy away from that's something that's important to our organization. Understanding that taxpayers' money is important.
It is. And we're taxpayers as well, so that's a great comment.
Good comments on that. Okay. Well, and we will have the safety conversation about glass. I know that that is always a topic that we want to make sure we find the right balance, strike the right balance in terms of being able to administer the operations of the school, but also being safe. Yeah, and that, I think part of the conversation could be that we are preparing, giving them the opportunity to explore future careers, and how much of the environment starts to emulate that to help them and prepare them for being in those environments. So I know that will be part of what we look at, explore, and discuss in terms of modeling that for them so that they make a smooth transition into future professional environments.
Okay. Comment for a gymnasium there. Noted. That's good. CTE classes. Got it.
Okay, this is good feedback. Thank you.
It is. Ms. Bell, how are we doing on time?
We're doing great on time. We have a few more minutes to go. We're going to
okay.
About another 15, 20 minutes. We're good.
Okay, thank you.
Well, actually a little bit longer. I'm sorry. Yeah, we're good on time.
Well, we can move now to the site itself. I think early on we talked a little bit about from our last meeting, we had brought some concepts to look at and consider. And from the feedback, you'll see as we look through these slides, the whole influence of the context is huge. This is such a gem of a site, such a rich location of all the surroundings and the context that it sits in, the neighborhood it sits in, is just, it's wonderful. It's a very rare opportunity to work on a project in this type of setting and context. And so we want to be mindful of that and sensitive to that and make sure that it's respectful of its neighbors and surrounding, but also becomes a part of it, becomes a rich part of the civic nature of public school can be for a neighborhood and a community. So just making sure we don't lose track and lose understanding of its context and where it sits. This first image was a quick response to our last conversation about phasing the building, having to demo portions of the building and potentially phasing it, potentially moving students because of some demolition and so forth. And so we went and looked at it again. And if you look at the blue area, which is like a building area, kind of possible building footprint
of the new building,
that would afford you to not have to demo any of the existing. So you could keep students and keep it active while you're building the new building. Now, it would start to limit some of your green space, but it would not force you to have to relocate students or lose part of your building during the process. So we felt like that would be desirable, possibly, and more or less disruptive, I guess, is what we're thinking. And then you can see the green space that could possibly come about and the dark gray parking potentially after the building has come down. So this was the study that we went to after thinking this would definitely potentially improve the early concepts. This image is simply just getting you oriented to the existing, understanding north and south and where the building, how it sits in relation to Inwood. And so this next concept shows you how, again, in 3D, where that buildable area is. Yes, it is sitting over three portables, and if those are, we need to hold on to those, we can relocate those. But if not, that is a very usable area for new construction. You can see how well that fits, and it's more than enough square footage for what we're preliminary scope of program of work that we're looking at. We're going to explore the possibility of 2-story or 3-story so that you have an idea of how much green space this footprint can afford you. Clearly, third floor would help with adding some green space, but we do believe that 2-story is an option as well, as we've done some further studies. This is a little overlap of seeing a first concept of parking and drives and green space, a combination. And then if we were to take down the building and start to look at how we would use the site, we're starting, I mentioned the building already and the green space and green and the drives. One of the things to mention too is we thought it would be important and best to have the green space, these play spaces, outdoor space closer to the neighborhoods, more internal and less external up against Inwood, Boaz. So we felt like that was probably a good move. We need some more studies, traffic studies, before we can actually know exactly how we need to handle drives and parking. But right now we're suggesting that you could do a long stacking lane off of Boaz. That blue dashed line would allow you to enter and then stack all the way around to the center of the site before they exit. So trying to get cars off of Boaz, off from the neighborhood streets, and get them on your property and stacked around your parking. That would be, what we're suggesting right now, a parent drive, and then potentially having the orange where we could have buses there. So obviously, we're looking at orienting the front of the building to Inwood. That was a request from our last meeting, if that could be done, to have a real strong presence off of Inwood and front facade and connect with the community from that. So that this kind of T-shaped building would allow us to do that. That would also, that runs north-south along Inwood would be where we consider a 2-story or 3-story element. So it would have a very grand, prestigious facade to Inwood. So this was important for us to improve on the concept, and hopefully you see that we've studied some things that maybe bring some advantages to that first concept. But this is now when we'd like to have some more dialogue around some comments. We don't actually have a polling question around this. We would entertain chats, or even people if they want to unmute themselves and share some things. Is that correct, Andre? We could do that here at this point.
I'm not sure of the protocol, Ms. Bell, but we do want some interaction and engagement, at that level regarding this specific layout. And I don't know how best to facilitate that.
Actually, if you would like to, if you want to take your microphone off mute, feel free to do so. You can use the interaction feature to raise your hand, and we can certainly make sure that we're calling on you to share your thoughts at this particular time.
All right.
Now, if you're joining us, of course, on Facebook, you can make your comments on Facebook, and we will come in and share those with the project team as well. We have Heather Mays has her hand raised. Go ahead, Ms. Mays.
Hi, I'm looking at the map. It'd be great to have a set, because I only see one entrance exit for parents. If we could have them come in one place and out another, if that's possible, or.
That's a great comment, and that will definitely be something we study, because I know that can tend to be a pinch point as well. So thank you for pointing that out, but we will study that.
Okay, Katie Holmes in the chat said that I think this is a great setup. The parent and bus drop-off location, at least to me, seems to utilize the space well.
Okay.
Michael Estes says that they like to have more of a barrier between the school and the commercial activities across Boaz.
Okay.
Principal Tatum, you have your hand raised. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to share that the Texas Trees Foundation is working with Dallas ISD to create a partnership to help build neighborhood parks that share, especially in the after hours usage of these amazing schools. And I think that's an exciting opportunity to add to an already pretty treed campus, much more trees, and also looking at least in this designation of where the green spaces are, might start giving us some sort of idea of programmatic uses of those spaces, so that we can accommodate the different needs like athletics, PE facilities, obviously we need, but also straight up like a community dog park and space for folks to be that is already happening naturally in our space, but accommodating them in a more managed way. So I really wanted to share that they're really excited. They already sort of said, yeah, we're adopting you all. We want to be a part of this process. And we might have some guests even on this call today who are a part of that. But the green space, I think, would be lovely to keep adding as much as we can and where we can. And even in the cutouts of where the ideas are here, there's some great sort of hidden greeneries that could potentially be popped up in these sort of corners that are cut off by the entryways to make them sort of unique and special uses. So
yes, please understand that this is just a generic space, and we have lots of opportunity for articulation, architectural term to do just what you've mentioned. I agree. One quick question. My understanding of those programs that allow the community to be engaged too when they actually do some of the installations. So it allows and brings about some real good community volunteerism and efforts, is my understanding as well.
Yeah, that particular one typically engages the site-based decision-making team of a campus, which are sort of our de facto campus bond committee during this construction process as well. We're sort of co-tasking them on that front. So we'll have an opportunity to hopefully coordinate anything that's going on with them, with this project, and engage our community members who are part of the site-based decision-making team to bring it all together into one big milestone achievement down the road here.
Break some sweat.
Yeah. Great comments, Mr. Tatum. And obviously, we love trees, and I think that's an integral part of the design and of the space and of the campus. And so is something we're very sensitive to, and certainly something we want to maximize and utilize as well.
And once again, if you're joining us on Zoom, you just please use the reactions feature to raise your hand, and we can go off mute and make your comments. If you're joining us on Facebook, please feel free to make any comments and suggestions and share your thoughts in the comment section on Facebook. I see that our executive director, Ryan Zeiss, is actually on the call. Mr. Zeiss, do you want to share anything at this time? Your thoughts at this time?
I'm good. I just appreciate the considerations for the current space and thinking about how we'll make this transition over the next couple of years. I want to echo Mr. Tatum's thoughts on, making spaces that are inviting and managed for the community. I really appreciate that. There's a very active community, and we want to make the space open for them. In looking at the green space, I know this is just a mock-up. One of my just initial thoughts, and nothing is to scale, but thinking about different programs that they may want to offer in the future, like athletics and other type activities. So just trying to think about the green space so that it's not as chopped up, and the spaces are large enough to accommodate things like maybe soccer, or any type of other sport that may be of interest in the future. So just trying to think about that. I love all the green space. I just want to make sure that it's usable for what might happen in the future.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. We do have a comment coming through the chat as well about any ideas, a question. Any ideas how many entrances there would be to the school?
Conrad, you want to address that? I think you're muted, Conrad. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Could you mention that again? I apologize.
The question was how many entrances to the school?
The building itself, we would need to explore that, in terms of the development of it. So we're a little early to know exactly how many. I know this is probably desirable to fairly limit that number, but we will be required to meet the egress requirements for fire exit for the building, but we don't necessarily know yet.
Yeah. Okay, I'm also seeing a lot in the chat regarding athletic programs, soccer, basketball. Mr. Tatum, I think it's as long as we can fully understand the program, we can certainly obviously accommodate that and meet those needs.
Yeah, I think we'll get a chance to talk more about them as we develop. It's a little bit different than a comprehensive neighborhood middle school athletics program, but we definitely need space to move. So we appreciate all those comments.
Great. And we have a hand raised, Ms. Francisco Vasquez.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alexa Francisco. I am the Cool Schools Coordinator at the Texas Trees Foundation, like Mr. Scott Tatum was talking about. So I wanted to just quickly introduce myself. We are kicking off our cohort 3 schools, which includes Longfellow Academy. So we're super, super excited. This is going to be our 3rd middle school that we do. We've been at several other schools in Dallas ISD. This year we had our first set of middle schools over at Lang and Spence. So if you guys want some evidence of like the things that we've done for Dallas ISD, those would be some good middle school sites that you're welcome to take a look around. And of course, we have a couple of focuses here in the program. So it would be trees, of course, outdoor education, and curriculum. So what we do is we build outdoor classrooms for middle schools, elementary schools, high schools. We plant trees on campus, and we also provide educational curriculum to teachers and staff to encourage them to use their outdoor classrooms. So we'll be working closely with the community as well as with the school to receive their feedback as to what they want to see in their outdoor classroom. And of course, we'll be working closely with y'all as architects to really align timelines as to what this will look like.
Excellent.
And I will quickly just drop a link to our website where you can find just more information about the Cool Schools program, and hopefully you guys get to know us a little bit more over the year.
Great.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Great. Does anyone else have any other comments? If so, just go off mute and ask your question and make your comments at this time. Okay, we seem to be winding down some, so I don't know, Andre, if the project team has more they want to share or.
Oh, I just think we appreciate the feedback and the level of engagement. And again, because this is being recorded and captured, we will certainly address all of those comments. And I think, Ms. Bell, will they continue to have access to the website where they can make additional comments?
Yes, sir, they certainly will.
As well. Yeah.
Yes, thank you for leading into that. To keep up to date on this and other projects with Bond 2020, we do have a website, dallasisd.org/Bond 2020. And the recording of this meeting, as well as a link to where you can submit additional questions and concerns, can be found at www.dallasisd.Bond 2020 meetings. Again, that's Bond 2020 meetings. Again, a copy of tonight's presentation, the recording for tonight's meeting in both Spanish and English, and also will be posted there within the next 24 to 48 hours. And there's also a sheet out there in the link where you can continue to submit your questions. So we look forward to hearing from you while we work to shape this particular school.
Well, again, we're very excited. It's a unique and an exciting project, and we're thankful for the opportunity, blessed and grateful to be able to serve in this capacity. And our team is very excited, and we look forward to further engagement. So, Conrad, any closing comments?
I think you did it well. We are very excited to be working on this unique project, and know that there'll be lots of creative thought added to what we do.
Great. Okay. Mr. Alfred, would you like to make any closing remarks?
Yeah, I'd like to just congratulate Andre and Conrad. Great job in presenting to the Longfellow community. We're excited. And I wanted to update everybody on what's our possible next steps. We're going to start meeting in smaller groups, kind of vetting out some of the program and some of the spaces. But I do want to bring the larger group back together again, probably early November. And, at this presentation, we may have some images with the building we actually look at, like the facade, some of the elevations and whatnot. So we'll be working closely with the team and, like I said, reaching out to you guys in smaller groups individually. So thank you.
Great. Mr. Zeiss, would you care to make any closing remarks?
No, no, yes, but no. Just real briefly, I just want to say thanks to everybody who came out. If you know people that were not on the call and are involved in the community, either as parents, former parents of Longfellow, or just members of the community, we want to hear all of the voices that we can, because this really is a community space, and it's going to be around for a long time. And we're excited for the opportunity to have a refresh and a reinvent Longfellow 2.0. So thank you guys for the presentation tonight.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
And of course, closing remarks will go to the wonderful principal of this amazing school. Mr. Tatum, take it away.
Thank you so much. We are so proud of our teachers and community members and some students who have been a part of this process today. And we can't wait to hear more voices as we generate out the future of this school. Our theme this year is Finding Our Future. We tied it very closely with the work that's happening, not only in building a new home for our program, but also in defining what it means to be a national model career exploration academy. And we can't do any of that work without you. So thank you all who are part of this meeting. And I can't wait to be a part of finding our future alongside you. Have a great night.
Have a great night, everyone. And thank you for joining us tonight.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Tatum. Thank you, Ms. Bell.